You reach into your garage shelf without looking, the same shelf you've used 100 times. Most days, nothing happens. Most days, the gap behind the paint cans is empty. But some of the venomous bugs on this list don't live in distant forests or remote deserts. They live in woodpiles, garden gloves, porch furniture, and wall cavities across America. The difference between a minor sting and an emergency room visit is sometimes smaller than a thumbnail. These 10 are ranked by one thing: venom that causes real, documented American hospitalizations. The most painful sting in North America doesn't crack the top 5. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from, and which of these have you seen near your home? Number 10 is an insect most people would never think to fear, partly because it looks like something a child would want to pick up. The puss caterpillar, Megalopyge opercularis, is the larval stage of the flannel moth, and it is covered in what appears to be soft, silky fur. That appearance is the problem. People see it on an oak branch or a garden wall and reach toward it because it looks harmless in the way that small, fuzzy things are supposed to look harmless. The fur is not fur. Beneath those soft-looking fibers are hollow, venomous spines connected to glands. When skin makes contact, the spines break off and embed themselves, releasing venom directly into the tissue. The pain arrives fast, a burning, radiating sensation that can spread up the arm within minutes. Documented cases from Texas and Florida, where outbreaks on school grounds have prompted public health advisories, describe pain severe enough to require emergency evaluation. In some cases, the reaction includes nausea, headache, and localized swelling that persists for days. Here is the micro twist. The fluffier the caterpillar looks, the more spines it carries. The most touchable-looking specimens are the most heavily armed. The Texas Department of State Health Services has issued warnings during peak season, which runs late summer through fall, when the caterpillars descend from trees and end up on walls, benches, and playground equipment at eye level for children. It ranks 10th because exposure requires direct contact, and the venom rarely causes systemic complications in otherwise healthy adults. But for the people who didn't know what they were touching, the emergency room visit is entirely real. The danger changes form at number 9. At first glance, the cow killer looks like an ant, a large, fuzzy, red and black ant moving slowly across dry ground. People in the eastern United States encounter them on lawns and hiking trails, and the common reaction is curiosity, occasionally the impulse to handle one. The name suggests something dramatic. The insect itself seems manageable. It is not an ant. The cow killer, Dacimutilla occidentalis, is a wingless female wasp. The absence of wings is exactly why people misread it. Wasps are supposed to have wings, so a wingless one gets recategorized as something slower and less threatening. That recategorization is the mistake. The stinger is proportionally one of the longest relative to body size among North American Hymenoptera, and the venom it delivers causes immediate, intense pain documented on entomological pain scales as among the most severe produced by any insect in the region. Anaphylaxis in susceptible individuals has been documented in poison control case reports. The micro twist is in the color. The bright red and black pattern is a warning signal that evolved to deter predators. It works on birds and lizards. It does not work on curious humans who tend to interpret vivid coloration as interesting rather than cautionary. It ranks 9th because direct handling is still required for envenomation, but number 8 is where the narrative around pain begins to unravel. Number 8 holds the insect with the most famous sting in North America, and it doesn't belong higher on this list. The tarantula hawk wasp, Pepsis species, found across the Southwest and into the plains, delivers a sting that researcher Justin Schmidt, who developed an experiential pain index for Hymenoptera stings, placed at level 4, the top of his scale. He described the experience as briefly but completely incapacitating. That description gets repeated constantly. What gets dropped from the repetition is the second half of the story. The venom of the tarantula hawk causes intense neurological disruption. The pain is real, immediate, and overwhelming. But in the vast majority of people, the effect lasts roughly 3 minutes before fading significantly. There is no tissue damage, no necrosis, no systemic toxicity in most encounters. The venom evolved to paralyze tarantulas, not to cause prolonged harm to mammals. The hospitalization risk for most people comes not from the venom's direct action, but from anaphylaxis in individuals with Hymenoptera sensitivity, the same risk that applies to any bee or wasp sting in an allergic person. The point is this: the most painful sting in America is not the most medically dangerous. Pain and danger are different measurements. A person who receives one sting from a tarantula hawk and has no allergy is in agony for a few minutes and then recovers. A person who receives multiple stings from a far less dramatic-looking species, or who has an undiagnosed sensitivity, may be in the emergency room for hours. That distinction controls this entire countdown. Number 7 is the wasp most Americans have already been stung by and written off. Paper wasps, Polistes species, build those small, open-celled nests under porch ceilings, inside window shutters, along fence rails, and in the gap above a door frame. They're everywhere. Most people have disturbed one at some point, received a sting, recovered, and moved on. That experience creates a false ceiling on how dangerous they seem. Here is what that experience doesn't account for. The first sting from a Hymenoptera species sensitizes the immune system. The second sting, which might come months or years later from what looks like the same unremarkable insect on the same porch, can trigger anaphylaxis in a sensitized individual. Severe allergic reactions to Hymenoptera stings, including paper wasps, account for a significant portion of insect-related emergency room visits in the United States each year, according to data from allergy and immunology clinical literature. The American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology has documented Hymenoptera venom allergy as a leading cause of anaphylaxis-related fatalities in the country. The wasp didn't get more dangerous. The person's immune system changed after the first encounter, and neither the person nor the wasp gave any visible warning that the second sting would land differently. That's why it sits at 7, common exposure, invisible sensitization, real consequence. What comes next operates on the same venom chemistry, but with a substantially different delivery system. If you're finding this useful, subscribing helps the channel keep going. We have more countdowns like this one in the works. Now, number 6. The bald-faced hornet, Dolichova spula maculata, builds a visible nest. That's the reassurance people hold on to. You can see the papery gray globe hanging from a branch or under an eave, and the logic follows naturally. Stay away from the nest, and you're fine. The nest is the threat, and the nest is obvious. The problem is the defense perimeter. Bald-faced hornets defend a zone around their nest, not just the nest itself. Disturbing a branch or a nearby shrub can trigger a defensive response from workers that were not on the nest at all. The venom contains a compound that functions as an alarm signal, recruiting additional colony members rapidly. Workers can sting multiple times without losing their stinger, unlike honeybees, and will pursue a perceived threat a meaningful distance from the nest entrance. What most people don't know is that bald-faced hornets can also direct venom at the eyes during a defensive response. This is not venom spraying in the way some insects spray acid, but venom can contact the eye during a sting attempt near the face, causing significant pain and temporary vision disruption. Documented cases exist in entomological and medical literature. The nest is visible. The defense perimeter is not. That spatial gap is where the hospitalization happens. Number 5 removes the visibility of the nest entirely. Eastern yellow jackets, Vespula maculifrons, are among the most ecologically widespread wasps in the United States, and a substantial portion of their colonies are underground, inside abandoned rodent burrows, beneath lawn furniture, within landscape timber, inside wall voids. You don't find the nest until you've already triggered it. The trigger can be a lawnmower passing over a burrow entrance, a foot stepping on a hidden opening in the grass, sitting in a chair that has a colony established in the wood beneath the seat. When the alarm pheromone releases, the response from an established late summer colony, which can contain several thousand workers, is fast and coordinated. Each worker can sting multiple times. The venom accumulates. This matters because mass envenomation from yellow jackets, not anaphylaxis, but the direct toxic effect of multiple stings, can cause systemic harm in people without any prior allergy. Enough venom delivered quickly enough can cause kidney stress, cardiac irregularities, and other organ effects. Documented fatalities from mass yellow jacket attacks without prior allergic sensitivity have been reported and investigated by public health agencies. Late summer is when colonies reach peak size and food sources begin to decline, making workers more defensive at exactly the time when people are spending the most time outdoors. The nest is underground. The colony is large. The warning is the first sting. Here is where the countdown changes. The first 5 entries required a trigger, touching a caterpillar, handling a wasp, disturbing a nest. What follows requires less. The insects higher on this list are harder to detect, more efficient in their venom delivery, or embedded more deeply in spaces people use daily. Number 4 is already in your yard if you live in the southern half of the United States, and it doesn't wait for a dramatic moment. Red imported fire ants, Solenopsis invicta, are established across 15 or more states, with populations documented as far north as parts of Virginia and extending west into California. The colony underground beneath a fire ant mound can exceed 200,000 workers. When the mound is disturbed, stepped on, sat upon, leaned against, or even approached closely enough to cause vibration, the response is immediate and coordinated. Workers swarm upward, grip the skin with their mandibles to anchor themselves, and sting repeatedly in a circular arc. Each individual ant delivers multiple stings before releasing. The venom chemistry is unusual. Most Hymenoptera venom is primarily protein-based. Fire ant venom is roughly 95% solenopsin alkaloids, compounds that cause immediate burning, then the formation of a distinctive fluid-filled pustule within hours. But the alkaloids also function as sensitizing agents. Repeated exposure across multiple encounters increases the probability of a systemic allergic reaction in subsequent stings. The American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology has documented fire ant envenomation as a leading cause of anaphylaxis in the Southeast, with fatalities on record. The micro twist is the pustule itself. People often assume the pustule is the wound, a local irritant that fades. It's actually the delivery mechanism of the alkaloid into the tissue. Scratching it introduces the alkaloid more deeply and creates an infection risk. The insect is small. The sting feels minor at first. The consequence depends on how many stings were delivered and whether the immune system has been previously sensitized. Number 3 dismantles a geography myth. The bark scorpion, Centruroides sculpturatus, is the only scorpion in the United States with venom considered medically significant. People outside the Southwest assume that places them safely outside its range. The scorpion lives in the desert, they think, in rocks and sand, nowhere near a suburb. Bark scorpions are established in urban and suburban areas across Arizona, including Phoenix and Tucson. They've been documented in populated areas of Nevada adjacent to Las Vegas. They are climbers. Unlike most scorpions, Centruroides sculpturatus can scale smooth vertical surfaces and cling to ceilings, which means they are found inside homes, in bathroom walls, above beds, inside folded towels, and in shoes left on the floor. They are nocturnal and nearly transparent when young. The sting is painless enough in some cases that people don't realize immediately what happened. The venom is neurotoxic. It disrupts sodium channels in nerve cells, and in children and elderly individuals, the systemic effects can include uncontrolled muscle spasms, difficulty swallowing, respiratory distress, and abnormal eye movements. The Arizona Poison and Drug Information Center handles hundreds of documented envenomation cases annually. Antivenom exists and is used in severe pediatric cases. It ranks third because its geographic range is genuinely limited to the Southwest, but within that range, it is a household presence, not a wilderness encounter. Number 2 lives in your house right now. If you're in Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Tennessee, or the surrounding states, and it has probably been there for years without announcing itself. The brown recluse, Loxosceles reclusa, is one of the most misunderstood venomous arthropods in America, not because its danger is overstated, but because the mechanism is consistently misread. The recluse behavior is real. It hides in boxes, folded clothing, undisturbed closets, beneath furniture, inside shoes, and behind stored items. It is not aggressive. It bites when pressed against skin, which happens when someone puts on clothing that contains one, moves a stored box, or reaches into a space where one has settled. The bite is often painless at the moment of contact. People don't know they were bitten until the wound develops. The venom contains sphingomyelinase D, an enzyme that can cause progressive tissue destruction, dermonecrosis, at the bite site. In a documented subset of cases, the venom causes systemic loxocelism, hemolysis, kidney stress, and other organ effects that require hospitalization. The critical point about the evidence is this. A landmark study by arachnologist Rick Vetter and physician Dale Glazer, published in peer-reviewed medical literature, documented that the majority of skin lesions diagnosed as brown recluse bites in American clinical settings, including in states where the spider is not even established, were actually caused by other conditions, primarily MRSA infections. The brown recluse is both genuinely dangerous and genuinely overdiagnosed. The real cases are serious. Many attributed cases are something else entirely. It sits at number 2 because the exposure is passive and delayed, the bite happens, the insect leaves, and the consequence develops over the next hours and days while the person searches for an explanation. Number 1 is an arthropod that nearly every American can picture. The black widow, Latrodectus species, is probably the most famous venomous creature in the country. Most people have a mental image: shiny black, red hourglass marking, unmistakable. That image is the problem. There are multiple species of widow spider in the United States. The western black widow, Latrodectus hesperus, the eastern black widow, Latrodectus maculans, the northern black widow, Latrodectus variolus, and the brown widow, Latrodectus geometricus, which is not black and does not have a solid red hourglass, are all established across different American regions. Juveniles of all species look nothing like the adult female that appears in the mental image. They are brown, patterned, and small. Males are smaller still and differently marked. The iconic appearance belongs specifically to the adult female of select species, and she is only one version of a much larger, more distributed, and more varied reality. The venom mechanism involves alpha-latrotoxin, which triggers a massive release of neurotransmitters at nerve endings, causing latrodectism, severe spreading muscle cramps, often beginning at the bite site and moving to the abdomen, back, and chest. Hypertension, tachycardia, sweating, and nausea are documented components of the systemic reaction. The bite itself is often described as a minor pinprick, and the full symptom progression may take 1 to 3 hours to develop. By the time a person understands something is seriously wrong, the spider has been gone for hours. The American Association of Poison Control Centers receives approximately 2,500 black widow exposure reports annually across the United States. The exposure environments are not exotic. Wood piles, garage corners, outdoor furniture, garden hose reels, electrical meter boxes, playground equipment, and the underside of deck boards. The brown widow, now established across Florida, parts of Texas, and coastal California, is less medically significant than the black widow, but far more commonly encountered in suburban settings, and it is rarely identified correctly on site. The final comforting condition this entry removes is recognition. Every previous entry in this countdown required something: a touch, a disturbed nest, a hidden ground colony, a geographic overlap. The black widow requires only reaching into the wrong corner in an ordinary American backyard. The spider doesn't advertise itself as the recognizable image. The bite doesn't announce itself as a bite. The consequence arrives later, after the moment of exposure is already past. What connects these 10 is not venom alone. It is proximity. The puss caterpillar drops from suburban trees. The cow killer crosses a yard. The paper wasp builds above a door used every day. The yellow jacket nests beneath lawn furniture people sit in every August. The fire ant mound sits next to a sidewalk. The bark scorpion climbs the wall inside a home. The brown recluse settles inside a shoe. The black widow rests beneath the lip of a planter that gets watered twice a week. Human environments have become the habitat, not incidentally, but functionally. Stored goods, wood piles, gaps in exterior walls, outdoor furniture, standing water, and artificial light create the conditions these species use. Most encounters produce nothing serious. The gap between that outcome and a hospital visit exists, and it's smaller than people expect. The garage shelf hasn't changed. The garden glove on the fence post is still there. But something small adjusted its position inside it just after dark, and it's been there since morning.